Chinese don't call themselves Chinese because the Europeans say call yourself this or call yourself that. No, their forefathers call themselves those names. Everybody.
Well, you know, if you're going to get into that one, yeah, I hear you, but everything has been cut off. You got countries that's in Africa that was named from the British, from the French. From
They don't, but people don't do that. Though.
Well, Nigeria wasn't always Nigeria.
Wow.
That name that came in either the late, early 1900s or the late.
Okay,
1800s.
Nigeria is a word which I'm not sure about. I mean, if you know about it, okay.
I'll always call it. I think it was the British that decided to call it.
Call it Nigeria.
Yeah.
The British called it Nigeria.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that was renamed. A lot of things that was renamed. But the thing is, it isn't the name. It isn't the jurisdiction. It's the character of the people. You know.
But why would you say character?
Character meaning that, all right, you could be a black person, right, or African American. You could have billions of dollars. Okay. But would you do something heroic like Richard Smith did?
Okay, no, I don't mean that way.
You know, that's what I'm talking about.
How could I identify the character of a person? Let's say a young kid walk up here, and how could I identify his character in terms of where he's from when he's still a baby? I mean, character I think has to be a maturing of a person into something.
Yeah.
And what they mature into is a particular character. Right. Then you know them. But where they matured from, you have to have some kind of idea where they matured from. Like the most people don't know where those, like you said, the names. Some of them are British. I don't know all the names of the different countries that the British name. I don't know all the names that the Romans name, because Romans was down there too, you know, in our place. The name Africa itself, we know, is of European origin.
Exactly.
You see, and but I think that the correct name, the eldest name we got is Ibakalan. Is the one that the African attributes to name part of that country, because they didn't know the whole country existed. See, but the thing is that the names are not as important as the place. See, the place is where people originate from, because that's where their genes come from. They come from that land. Their DNA come from that land, from that sun, from that. Then you start to know about a person, and then you know that their DNA. Then they develop a culture. Then you learn their culture. The culture help us identify where people are from, but. That's why I think the African American, especially nowadays, should be closer to calling themselves African American than any other thing, because they know that their forefathers named them that. See, our forefathers did in 1782. That's as far back as we go with those names and ideas. Most of our people don't know our language even. Well, our foreparents have a language. And the language, again, Harvard University teaches that language in their African American study course, and it's called Geechee, the Geechee language.
From the Geechee, from those islands, those sea islands.
But the sea islands is where the people were, but they named them, that there's a river that goes down from northern Georgia to down into those sea islands called the Ogeechee River. So they named themselves after that river. And they changed it.
Jim Brown people, they changed the name of that river?
Yeah, changed the name of the river. They changed the name of the river. They changed their name, not the river. The river's still Ogeechee River. But they used that Ogeechee, and they took off the O, which is called Ogeechee.
Jim Brown family come from there. He was born like that because he was told not to work. I think Jim Brown, and also that Clarence Thomas.
Clarence Thomas.
Because
he tells the story.
Yeah, he tells the story.
He tells the story. See, but it's a real language. But our people see how the European has made us think negative about ourselves. Now they don't tell the Jewish people how negative their language is, called Yiddish. Yiddish is not from Israel or anywhere like that. Yiddish comes from Germany. When the Jews were in Germany.
But people develop things as we've developed things in America, that they might not develop in Africa yet. People in different geographical locations or placing geographical locations will develop things to cope, as they used to use. Can you cope with this right here? So, that's just like a natural thing, that a person will develop a different thing to deal in the place that they're at.
Yes.
But
yes.
It's neither here nor there. It's where your heart is, and
yes.
so many times, today we have to wonder where's a person's heart is. I know that integration to a lot of people wasn't the best thing. Now to my family, we believe it was the best thing. I believe in integration. The only thing that held us back was the Jim Crow law. That's what my mother told me when I was a kid. She didn't talk much about the plantation.
Right.
She said, well, I'll tell us that. Because her grandmother was from the plantation.
Right.
Now, my mother said, when I was a little boy, and I remember, she said, it's that Jim Crow law that held us back.
Right.
That's what helped my father from getting a good job. That's what held, that held us back was that law. You understand? Right. So, I guess they were championing when the law was turned over. When they,
I saw that a little differently. I saw the Jim Crow and the Jim Crow law was dead on arrival. I think the Jim Crow law was due, not because of what the African Americans didn't have the power to do. It's simply because the African Americans, because of what they said in this book, the African Americans becoming too much like a state within a state, a nation within a nation.
Well, that's the way it was constructed. That's the way that's the way it was a nation.
See, we didn't have the power to kill Jim Crow law. No. Only the European who invented it had the power to, and he did it because he saw us making too much progress. We're not the only. I say we are probably the most formidable group of people that they had to go and change laws, real laws, to about. Whereas they did make some laws relevant to integration. Immigration, not integration.
Well,
immigration.
They made the laws. That's why they had to break the laws.
Yeah.
I think that where a lot of people get things mixed up is that when something is the law, like I remember, I go back in 1985 when they made the seatbelt law.
Yeah.
When it was the law. Okay, I remember when I was driving my car and I see somebody with a seatbelt. I said, look at them driving with a seatbelt. And I had a seatbelt in my car, but it wasn't law. But when it became law, and I could get a ticket, I fastened the seatbelt on before I put the radio on.
Yeah.
Just out of habit.
Well, I do it out of respect for the seatbelt.
Yeah, right. And then once I learned the respect for the seat, I didn't know that you could be thrown in the car. I had no idea. I said, that don't make any sense. You're in a car, you hit something, how you be thrown? But you can actually be thrown in the car.
Out that front window.
Yeah, right out that front window, yes.
Right out that window, it's true.
Yeah.
You got a seatbelt on, you stand a chance of surviving.
So, SHAHID Abdullah, I was nice talking with you. Is that I would like you to introduce, what's the example, introduce your other books that you have.
Oh, yes. I really appreciate that. Actually, this is my first book. This is the first book I've ever written. And it's a book talking about success is automatic. Unleash the power of your industrious nature to achieve your dream. And the reason I wrote that book was I believe that God did not create man to fail.
That's right.
And there's no other reason to create man if not to be successful.
That's right.
So that's what this book here is about. It's about how you find that interest that you can unleash your industrious nature to achieve your dream.
So I think we all have that.
All of it. Everybody's created with it. Everybody. There's nobody left out. And I just talk about in there. I saw the 10 steps to paradise on
Life is
Earth.
not an easy journey, but when you follow the right path, it can be a rich and rewarding one.
Absolutely.
Below is a basic blueprint for success.
Right.
Put the Creator first, God.
Right.
Start your day with a prayer, yes. Know He wants you to succeed.
Right.
Understand and unleash the power of your industrial nature. Right. And I think you're right on point in that right there. Because even people that don't act like they have industrial nature, when they see somebody doing something, it touches them.
It makes it. It's innate.
Yes.
It's in it. We may not do it to its fullest.
Yes.
But it's innate.
Without a doubt.
So all of these here, I was just giving the reader idea on how they can build their paradise
Wow.
on earth.
That's a wonderful.
Just those 10 points, and finally the last one you see is be grateful.
Oh, you be grateful.
Be grateful.
Yes, 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 yes.
And then my second book was this book here, the River of Gold.
The River of Gold.
The River of Gold.
Explain that.
Now this book here was talking about. It actually began. I was studying civilizations, how
Okay.
civilizations came. And you're a man of the Bible, right?
Yes.
Now you know in the Bible it talks about rivers, and
Yes.
that civilization started near rivers like the Nile River and there's
Euphrates.
4 major rivers that they talk about.
Okay.
And so when I looked at that, I saw that once a civilization comes up, then another river comes into place, and that's their commerce. Commerce starts flowing through their community
Yes.
to keep it alive
Yes.
and feed the people, and everything is done through commerce.
Yes.
So that made me look for the same kind of river in the African American community. When did that happen? That happened right here during this particular time that this book is talking about. That's when our people found out that the money was coming through our community like a river of gold. It was flowing through our community. We was building Black Wall Streets and all those different towns and things of that nature. That's what this book is about. And it shows it from a position of a family. In fact, the foundation starts here in Roselle. I used my own family as a beginning, because my father had come kind of interested beginning to get it. He got in New Jersey because he and his brother, his older brother, they had a car. This also showed me how wealthy our people were during that time. My grandfather had bought them a car, cash money, during that particular time. And it was brand new, it was made by African American Patterson. Patterson was making cars.
Okay, and they had a passing car?
Yeah, Patterson car. Yeah, it made cars.
Wow, I heard of
Same time that Ford was making his car.
Right.
Yeah, Patterson made his car. See, but anyhow, they kept their car in a garage that they owned inside the town, because they lived out in a big farm. And so they was in the town, and there was this European American woman who liked my uncle, my father's brother, and she used to stay around him all the time, and he tried to get her away from him because he had no interest in her. And so her brother came in the where they kept their car one day and called her out, and the stories in here. And so my uncle, who had been in the service, knew jujitsu, a couple of little stuff, So the young European American got angry with him and jumped on him, and my uncle took him apart. And he took him apart and threw him out into the street. And then that night, the same guy that he took apart came to the little joint they call a juke joint, where they hung out. My father and them hung out. And with the sheriff. And the sheriff came in the door with his gun out, and this guy said, "There, that nigga is over there." That's what the little word said. And so the sheriff pulled out his gun to shoot, and my father was standing on the little bar they had there, over there, and all of them carried guns at that time. So when the sheriff pulled out his gun to shoot, my father pulled his first and shot the sheriff 3 times in the chest.
Wow.
And the sheriff fell back in the door, and then my uncle came and grabbed my father, and they ran, went home, and then my grandfather told him, "You got to get out of town, you can't stay here." And she said, "You can't go the normal ways because they're going to be looking for you." And so they went and went another fellow down the road. He said, "I can't hide you here because this is the same place we used to use during the Underground Railroad. Everybody know where the high spots are." So they had to walk out of Georgia. They had to walk out of Georgia into South Carolina.
Wow.
And they had all the roads blocked off.
Sure.
All the roads blocked off. And what happened that night, it was that night when they was walking out, it started raining so hard. This was the story my father told me. So it started raining so hard that he and his brother couldn't even see themselves. So his brother told him, Lige, that was his name, Lige, grab the back of my belt. So he grabbed the back of his belt, and then he started walking toward the road. And it was raining so hard they couldn't even see. The sheriff and all of them, he said they could hear the people talking as they walked across the road into South Carolina.
Walk right past.
Walked right past. And that's how he got up in Jersey. That's in here. A couple. My mother got in Jersey. Her situation too. A couple of things that showed that our people wasn't just standing by during that time. They wasn't just bystanders. People think that, but they wasn't. They weren't just by.
Great story. Great triumphs.
Yeah. See, so that's what this book about, and it showed how the time about Black Wall Street is in here too. It shows how they built Black Wall Street. That's in this book from here. And of course, this one here is showing that how our culture evolved. This is a spirit of how the community is born, calling the world of human excellence. And now, many people separate us from different religions and different politics and all those kinds of things, but we're really not that separate. So there came a time when the African American people started getting an understanding about religion on their own.
Sure.
Started during the time of Turner. What's his name?
Nat Turner.
Nat Turner. Nat Turner was the first one we saw in history where the African American was getting his own opinion about religion.
Yes.
See, his slave master's wife taught him how to read, but the book she used to teach him how to read was the Bible. So he learned to read the Bible in and out as a young boy. He got so good at memorizing everything, they used to have him do sermons. And what he not just did sermons, he started coming with an understanding of what the Bible was talking about.
Right.
And he said that the people who call themselves Christ, talking about the slave master, can't be the Christ, because they contradict this book. They're in contradiction to this book, and they don't deserve to live. This was his thing. He said they don't. He said they call them devils. He did. And he said that they need to have their heads cut off. So he formed a little group,
A little posse.
and went around cutting off the heads of these slave masters primarily, who was treating slaves bad and everybody else bad. That's what his rebellion was. It wasn't. They say he was a slave, he was waiting for slavery. We had to teach him a lesson. That wasn't just something they made up. He was cutting their heads off because what he found in the Bible. He said they are the devil. They're not Christ. They're the Antichrist. And that in his language at that time.
Yes.
And that came all the way up through when we started seeing the difference in the African American, like Father Divine. Father Divine was the first African American that said that Christ was like them too.
Well,
he was the first one to call Christ a man.
Let me comment on Father Divine, because my family, my grandmother, after leaving Elizabeth, born in Europe, she went into the Father Divine.
Okay. Yes, they do.
Yes. And Father Divine didn't say he was like God.
Right.
Father Divine said he was God incarnate.
Yeah.
Because when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to Newark in 1959, the messenger said that he was trying to get it past the people that he was the messenger of God. He said, but Father Divine said he was God incarnate.
Yeah, see, but he used his. You're right. But
Father said he was God.
But see, but the point I'm trying to make here is not whether we know he wasn't. See, was not whether or not that has truth to it. It's the thinking of the African American was changing.
Yes.
That's what makes that important. He's no longer believing that the white man is God. He's getting out of that thought. He's getting out of the thought that the white man is God, that the white man is Jesus. He's saying that if you are God, if you are Jesus, I can be him too. This is what this is actually a grade up from serving the white man as God and saying you God. But both of them wrong, but at least you're looking at it like he looks at it. You see, so that was a major change that took place in that time. And that's what this book here represents. And of course, Drew Ali made another major change.
I don't know much about Noble Drew Ali.
You heard about it?
I've heard about Noble Drew Ali, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
Never read no books on it, but I heard a lot about Noble Drew Ali.
And then it's also about the Nation of Islam, how it came in. There was a line, I traced a line of how the African Americans started thinking like this and how they continued to come until they got to the point where they had a voice of their own about religion.
The community is born called the
world to human excellence. See, so that's what this one is about. And this shows the Nation of Islam. It shows what Imam Muhammad, his concepts and ideas. It showed where they originated from, how it was connected to the Hebrew, how it was connected all the way, the lines of connection.
Sure.
That's what this book here does. And of course, the one you have here. This is my latest book, Uncovering the Scheme. Uncovering the Scheme, Benny the Evolution of the African American. That's the latest book.
I see you got a different color. That Noble Drew Ali at the top.
No, yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's no, that's not what it is. Another Prince.
Okay, Frederick
Yeah.
Douglass there.
Yeah, Freddie Douglass.
Who is that?
That's a boxer, one of the boxers, and this is another brother here. I think he was the one with the railroad.
Oh, let me tell you.
So this is the nine. This actually I was charging more for this book than that book. The same book, but the cover for it. Design. Same book, you know, with the cover just have a different design. But I'm gonna stay with this cover now. Yeah, I'm gonna stay with this cover. But this is the uncovering the scheme. This talks about the schemes that we were talking about
Yes,
today,
yes.
and what an impact they have on us today, and how we can avoid it, how we can use that to our advantage, how integration, and it has to happen. How integration, we can use integration for our benefit. It has to happen.
We have to.
We deal with segregation.
Yes, we have to.
So we're gonna be able to do it with integration.
Yes.
See, that's gonna happen.
Well, okay. Well, it was a great. I had a great time here interviewing you and reading the book and basically in the middle of it. And we talked a lot from the book, which was good. So if you can, please reach out and buy this book. Again, integration to some Black Americans or African Americans, Negro Americans, some colored Americans. Integration was the breath of life for Black Americans. We really thought that. And when President Johnson did the speech to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and to like a State of the Union address today, and he said, "We shall overcome." And if you can, go to YouTube, listen to President Johnson's speech, and he was telling why that integration was something that needed to happen, and almost gave birth to affirmative action because of the shortcut that the nation took in delivering us as a people in this United States. So again, this is Zachariah Jackson, BASA News, SHAHID Abdullah. Honored to meet you, and
Honored to meet you too.
Talk with you again. Goodbye.